So last night, I premiered a video about LA's new laws and how they're making it unlawful to be homeless. And in the live chat, Tony Gilbert said something to me, and I'm glad he did, because now I've got another video. Alright, if you haven't seen my latest video, the one I did yesterday, you can either A, go watch it now before you continue this, or B, stay tuned because I'm going to recap that video with some new information. Well, not necessarily new, just different. Alright, it says Mayor Garcetti signs ordinance to restrict homeless encampments. Mayor Eric Garcetti signed a sweeping ordinance Thursday to restrict sleeping in homeless encampments in certain areas of the city, including within 500 feet of schools, daycare facilities, parks, and libraries. The ordinance will go into effect in 30 days. The mayor signed it a day after City Council voted 13-2 to approve the new law. 13-2? Two people only? Only 2 people voted against it, which modifies the city's current anti-camping law in Municipal Code 41.18 to prohibit sitting, sleeping, lying, storing personal property, or otherwise obstructing the public right-of-way in several areas of the city, including within 2 feet of a fire hydrant, understandable, or fire plug, within 5 feet of any operational or utilizable entrance or exit, understandable, within 10 feet of the loading dock or driveway, understandable, in a manner that interferes with any activity for which the city has issued a permit or restricts accessible passage as required by the Americans with Disabilities Act, or anywhere within the street, including bike paths. Okay, first of all, where was that? In a manner that interferes activity of which... Okay, the city has issued a permit. There's too many areas that people can do permits. Like, you know what I mean? You need a permit to do this. You need a permit to do that. Every day there's people with permits in public areas. That makes no sense. If you're in a public area, why do you need a permit? And now that you have a permit, that means you can kick anybody else away from your spot that you want? That makes no sense. Okay, I'm a permit holder, and I'm going to do this demonstration in this public park. You, Mrs. Jones, nope, get you and your kids out of here. I don't want them kids playing at the park. This is my permit. This is my spot right now. That makes no sense. Areas include up to 500 feet of a designed overpass, underpass, freeway ramp, tunnel, bridge, pedestrian bridge, subway. To get my thoughts about that, please watch my latest video. The ordinance will allow the city to prevent encampments for a period of no longer than 1 year in the areas due to safety. Yeah, we're going to force safety on you. I thought one's safety was up to oneself. Supreme Court said that the police they don't have to protect you. That's not what the police are for. The police are not there to protect you. They are there to arrest you when you do a crime. That's it. They're law enforcement. I know it used to say to protect and serve the cop cars, but some Supreme Court overruled that. Supreme Court said that they don't have to protect us. So to force anything on us for our own safety is bullshit. But yeah, that's just a recap of my last video. Going with what Tony commented, he made me look something up. And that comment was right. If you're homeless and you're getting ticketed and fined or arrested, like I said before, that's violation of your rights. We have the right to walk in public. We have the right to travel in public. We have the right to use public grounds. We, the people, own the public. Our tax dollars go to clean it up, go to make it beautiful. Our tax dollars, we the people, our tax dollars go to this shit. And for them to say that we can't use our own shit, that's wrong. But there's a way around it. If you know the Bill of Rights, you'll know exactly what I'm going to refer to. The 8th Amendment. And right here, from the Jurist, I don't know what that is, but it's a publication of some kind. Federal Appeals Court rules homeless people cannot be cited if no indoor sleeping option exists. Let me repeat that. Federal Appeals Court rules homeless people cannot be cited if no indoor sleeping options exist. Yes, this is an old article. 3 years ago. That means these governors, these mayors, these congressmen should be aware of this. The 8th Amendment was written so many fucking years ago, and they still don't know it. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the 9th Circuit ruled Tuesday, which was in 2018, that a homeless person cannot be cited for violating city ordinances against camping or disorderly conduct for sleeping in outdoor public spaces if they do not have access to city shelters. The case was brought by 6 homeless and formerly homeless individuals in the city of Boise, Idaho. State doesn't matter. It's all federal. States doesn't matter. The Constitution overrides each individual state rule. The plaintiffs argued that the citations violated the cruel and unusual punishment clause of the 8th Amendment. You see this? Cruel and unusual punishment clause of the 8th Amendment. Let it sit there highlighted for a minute. That makes total sense. Okay, if you have somebody who has no means to make money, isn't that unusual punishment or cruelty to fine them and put them in debt? Even more in debt? So now they can never climb out of the hole that they're in because you're just piling shit on top of them? The court found as long as there is no option for sleeping indoors, the government cannot criminalize indigent homeless people for sleeping outdoors on public property on the false premise they had a choice in the matter. I'm going to repeat that again. As long as there is no option of sleeping indoors, the government cannot criminalize indigent homeless people for sleeping outdoors on public property on the false premise they had a choice in it. Now, some people, yes, they would prefer to sleep outside than indoors. Living off the grid, you know, you have less stress, less bills. Like I've been saying for years, I had less stress in the streets of Vegas than I have here in North Carolina indoors. I'm a lot stressful now. So I can see that people would choose to live outdoors. But it doesn't matter. You have the right to do so. Through a Boise Police Department special order, the city refrains from enforcing the camping or disorderly conduct ordinances if the shelters report being full. Okay, so in other words, they're saying, if there's a bed open and you choose to sleep on the street, you're going to get a ticket for that when you could be in that bed. But in my last video, we quickly saw, and I explained my personal experiences, how sleeping in those beds is not good for us. Okay, you want to put us in like a FEMA camp situation or a county jail situation when you're in a dorm and you got 200 cots lined up 3 feet apart? That is not healthy, sanitary, or even mental, like, stability there. Seriously, that's messed up. The city of Boise has 3 homeless shelters. One reported being full roughly 40% of the nights, while the other 2 never reported being full. However, the other 2 homeless shelters will bar a person who has stayed 17 consecutive nights from staying at the shelter for 30 days. Shelters don't want you to be a monthly inhabitant. They want you out after 17 days. Okay, so then the other 13 days you could be ticketed. Unless a person participates in the shelter's religious-based treatment program. So, if you want to stay 30 days, you have to participate in the shelter's religion-based treatment program. First Amendment, you cannot force religion upon us. The court found that a city cannot, via the threat of prosecution, coerce an individual to attend a religious-based treatment programs consistently with the established clause of the First Amendment. Stand on your rights. Stand firm on your rights. If you don't use them, you lose them. Come on, fellow homeless people. Okay, where was I? 2 of the shelters also generally denied shelter to anyone who arrived after 8 p.m. In Vegas, I believe it was 6 p.m. Therefore, the court found that even though the shelters did not report being full, it did not mean that a homeless individual had an option to go to that shelter. Exactly. There's many extenuating circumstances that makes it so a person can't be in by 8 o'clock. What if they're working day labor and they have to work until 9? Now they have nowhere to go because they were trying to make money. Enforcement of the ordinances against someone who does not have access to an alternative shelter violates the cruel and unusual punishment clause of the 8th Amendment. The National Law Center on Homelessness and Poverty released a report in November 2016 which found that many cities around the U.S. have increased the criminalization of being homeless. The U.S. Department of Justice in August 2015 challenged that Boise law that criminalized sleeping in public, claiming the law was a form of cruel and unusual punishment. Absolutely. So, we get to the point of this video. If you're homeless, go ahead, sleep on the sidewalk. Well, okay, maybe not the sidewalk because it's a hard surface, and yes, you can find a better spot. But when you do, make sure it's public. Make sure that it's not by a fire hydrant. Make sure it's not by any schools. Parks, that's questionable. So you have to question your own morality on that. Legally, you can be in a park. But it's up to you on morally because there are kids there. So that's your decision. Technically, it's still legally. Me personally, I find nothing wrong with sleeping in a park because that's at night. I've done that before when I was homeless in Illinois before I went to Vegas. I've slept in parks and woke up first thing in the morning so kids can play and not be disturbed by me laying there. However, a lot of people today have too much personal property that they can't just up and move first thing in the morning. You know what I mean? It takes a lot to move your stuff when you have like a lot of things. If you have a tent and you have some like clothes and bags and duffel bags and stuff, it's not that easy to break down your campsite every morning and then repitch it at night. It's not that hard. I mean, easy. So I suggest you keep doing that stuff. Go ahead. Sleep where you need to do. And if a cop tickets you, harasses you, or arrests you, there are lawyers that will take a pro bono case for your 8th Amendment. Because that is true. Thank you, Tony, for sending me that comment. Because I knew it wasn't right. I just couldn't put my finger on it. And you helped guide my finger. I appreciate that 100%. You tied that knot. You connected those strings for me. So, yeah.
Fuck these unlawful laws.
And yes, I said unlawful laws. If it's against the Constitution, it's unlawful. Period. Point blank. Stand on your rights. Our forefathers fought for them fucking things. Those things called our rights. Our forefathers fought for it. And if you don't fight, they don't mean shit. The fight wasn't over for our rights. They just fought to establish them. Everyday people like you and I, we need to fight every day to keep them. The police aren't just going to assume we have rights. No, if we don't tell them that we are aware of our rights, we don't have them. We have to voice it. We have to tell them, no, you are not going to break my rights. You are not going to violate me. I am human. You have no control over me. I committed no crime.
Why is the world
and on that note, stay safe, stay sane, and peace out.
Live in a world full of hate, so you better change your ways before it's too late.